Um, Anything fun happen today? Anybody see the news? Anybody playing golf today? In other news, we've got some fun stuff to play with today. And shout out to everybody on Twitter who I wasn't completely sure we even really wanted to do one of these today. Everybody's a little distracted. We've got anxiety. You know, now that a decision has been reached, I'm sure there will still be anxiety. And so pretty overwhelmingly, everybody said, hey, go play with Legos. So that's what we're going to do. We've got actually a really fun one that I've been looking at for a while, and we just haven't gotten around to. So we're going to kick off the UCS Sandcrawler build. It's kit number 75059. Looks like we've got just about 3,300 pieces. Again, this one is discontinued. I did buy it off of eBay. I don't recall at all how much I actually spent on the kit itself. But it is, I mean, obviously it's not a spaceship, so it's got a very different feel, a very different vibe that I'm pretty excited to take a look at. The big thing that, I am interested, of course, but my daughter is the most interested, is just the sheer number of minifigs that come in here. So we've got lots of moving pieces and drawers and doors that open, and we've got the lid that lifts up. We've got cranes, we've got moving wheels. It feels like it's pretty well articulated, which is kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing just building-wise how all of that works together. But there are a ton of minifigs in here as well. So that should definitely make my daughter happy, which is always a good thing. So let's go ahead and open the box. What am I going to do here? That's a little better. Okay. Let's go ahead and open the box and dump everything out and see what we can find. There's a box cutter around here somewhere. To open this, I just have no idea where it is. We'll use a handy dandy screwdriver instead. Because why not? This is the last of the Star Wars UCS kits that I have on hand, and there's still a few we haven't done yet. We haven't done the B-Wing. We haven't done any of the Imperial ships, the TIE Fighter, the TIE Bomber, the TIE Interceptor. We still have the Super Star Destroyer. So if there's any of those that you're interested in, that you want to take a look at, let me know and we'll see if we can't pick one up. There's a lot of stuff here. Oh boy, okay. Box over there. Alright, we've got some kind of box in here. We've got our stickers. And put those up there. And then we've got our instruction booklet. And as always, we're going to do this one online over here on the screen to the left. So we don't need to pull that one out of there. We can stick that over with the rest of them. We've got a second box here, which is interesting. box since we did the Millennium Falcon. So let's open this up. Let's see what's in the box here. It looks like there's more bags. There's no individual pieces or anything kind of big that would have needed another box. That's kind of weird. I guess maybe they just didn't want all the bags kind of crushing in on one another. I don't know. Let's see what we got organized here. Saw one. So many bags. There's one. There's two. There's another two. There's three. There's four. There's five. That's a little one. I didn't need another five. Oh, here's another bag one. Here's another bag five. Told you we'd have another one of those. Six. And another six. And seven. And eight. Eight. Nope. And another bag seven. Bag nine. There's 10. There's 11. There's 12. There's 13. 14. 15. 16. 16. I think the little bag 15 down here that I dropped. 15. Alright. So we got a total of 16 bags, and that's a lot. That's a lot. That's alright. Might take us a few builds to get this one done, but could be worse, right? Could be worse. Alright, so let's... doing here? Stack. 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. Those down there in a stack. And here's where we start. All right, I'm going to grab a drink, and I'll be right back. I'm going to put the URL for the Discord into chat. So if anybody wants to join in on the voice chat side of things, I've got Discord integrated in with the stream, so everybody will show up and we can jump on that way. So let's find. There it is. All right, let's drop this into chat. Hey, Brian. I didn't even see you were on there. Welcome in. Looks like everything is working the way it's supposed to. All right, so we're all set up. We're cleaned up. We're ready to go. Stream looks good. No issues with that. And I'm going to grab a drink, and I'll be right back. So chill, hang out for me for just a second, and I'll be back. All right. There we go. Let's unmute out of there. And you should be able to see the little Discord icons popping up there in the top left. So as other people join the discussion, we'll be able to get them in, and we'll be able to hear them on stream. So we got that going. We got this going. All right. Let's get started. Okay, so if we look through the directions, like with most of the UCS sets, they do a pretty good job of kind of going through and giving some background about the model itself, and then talking a little bit about kind of how it was used in the movies. They've done this with I think all of the UCS sets. There's been kind of a little bit of background with the source material, kind of how it was used in the movies, and then the designer team that goes through and puts them together and builds them. In this case, it looks like Jens, one of the design directors. I'm not sure if he's still at LEGO anymore or not, but one of the design directors was the guy who helped put this one together. A little bit about the designer, some Q&A with him, which is always pretty cool. And then I find it very amusing that the French section actually has a Canadian flag on it, rather than just having a French flag, which is kind of interesting. We've got Italian, and okay, so here we start. And they told us to dump everything out, which we did, and they've told us to start working on the individual pieces. As always, our brick separator is the first thing that we take out of the bag because separate these out a little bit, make them easier to find the pieces. And bags within bags, always fun. And then the little stuff. And little stuff, I think we'll just put right over here. Now, I'm not exactly sure how big this is going to get. I am assuming that our build space here is going to be big enough for, for everything that we want to be able to do. I don't know that there's any, risk of us running out of space or anything like that. But if there is, then we can always switch it around to use the bigger camera or the higher camera, like we did with the Imperial Star Destroyer, where it just wasn't possible to get everything kind of in the same frame. So we can see with bags, they give us kind of a little description of what the bags are going to be for. It looks like bag 1 is going to be the very bottom of the structure, and then bag 2 is going to include, I guess, a second layer of the structure. I guess we'll have to find out. 3 and 4 is going to be kind of the outside and the sides, and then 5 is the doors. 6 is going to be kind of the upward superstructure that I imagine the sides would be attached to. 7 and 8 are going to be the treads. I have absolutely no idea what 9 is, but it looks like it's got some sort of hinge door on it. 10, 11, 12, and 13 look like they're all going to be side pieces. I don't know what 14 is, but look at all the minifigs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then if we count the little droids down here, 11, 12, 13, 14 minifigs. That's pretty awesome. I'm kind of excited about 14 minifigs. So, unless there are any objections, we'll go ahead and get started here. Here we go. Looks like we're going to build the minifigs first, so let's start pulling legs and tops and heads and bodies and legs and bodies and legs and torsos. All right. All right. There we've got our first little dude. Stick him over there. Now we've got some Jawas to put together, and they've got the little stubby legs, like they're Ewoks or something. And little glowy eyes that peek out from under the robe, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you can see that real well, but it's kind of cool. Like all you can see is the eyes coming out of there. I like it. Put that over there. And the second one. Alright, and it looks like they've got little stun blaster somethings. So we'll make sure that those get where they're supposed to. Alright. Here we go. Like all UCS, there are going to be a million little axles that are pieces together. There can't possibly be as many as there were on the Millennium Falcon, though, so I'm just going to see it as a good thing. We've got 2 of these. I'm going to put like that. And then we've got 2, 3, 4. And we just do 3 of these? Yep, looks like we just do 3 of these. We do 1 there, we do 1 there, and then we give 3 spaces, and we do 1 there. Alright. Now we do kind of the mirror opposite. 1, 2. 3, 4. And one of these in the middle, but facing. Did I get that backwards on the other one? Yeah, I did, didn't I? Look at that. Nobody in chat pointed out that I'm a terrible Lego builder and corrected me. Put you in that way. And then you go there. You go there. And we attach the 2 together. Like that. Alright. I don't know about y'all, but I'm suddenly in a much better mood today. I wonder why that is. Go in there. You go in there. It looks like we're going to build another one of these for the other side. Okay, we got the beginnings of a good platform here. by 6. Yep, it's these ones. And we're going to go here, and here, and here. Now we need 2 little square ones. But we don't know how far they're going to come until we put these ones in place, which are going to line up like that, and like that, which means this one goes like that, and like that, and like that, and like that. Okay. Now we take these 4 and these 4. And I'm guessing that these get centered. Yeah, because they're going to be touching there. So they go there. And I bet these are going to be the bases for the treads that are going to go on here. Maybe. We'll find out, won't we? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I didn't. We're good. Alright, so now we're going to flip you back over. And we need 3 of those. And 1 of those. And 4 of these. Alright. Now we have to flip it back over. And I'm going to put these in place around the outside. Oh, I forgot the yellow ones, didn't I? Or I forgot the other 2 yellow ones, which are going to go there and there. Which means that now that can go there and that can go there. Alright. All right. We need 2 of those. We need 14 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 1, 2. All right. There. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, U, 6, 7, 1, 2, U, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You two are going here, and you two are going there, and then you go there, and there. They've done a pretty good job of making this like really dense. Like, it doesn't feel flimsy at all, but it's not super heavy. All right, we need both of those. We need 4 of these. We need those 2, and we need 2 of those. So we're going to go you, 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 and then you there, like that. All right, I think we're going to take you and you and red one, you, like that. We're going to put another brown one on there, and then we're going to put the gray one in, and then we're going to put yellow braces. Ooh, calm down there. Yellow braces on each side. think I got it backwards. Because I think the gray side is supposed to be here. Yep. That's all right. That is easy to fix. Get you off of there. You off of there. And then we're just going to flip these. And put that back on there. That. And that only goes on that side. Does not go on this side. All right, good to know. This just feels off still. Yeah, I think it is. I'm a distracted mess. There. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Okay. All right. And then this whole thing is going to attach there. All right, well, we know what it's for now. It's definitely going to be the, like the front door. With the ramp, it's going to go up and down like that. All right. Got a few more pieces. We got 7 of these. 4, 5, 6, 7. And they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we've got these last 4, which I feel like I should have put somewhere and forgot, and I did. They go back here. 1, 3, 4. And that leaves us with, ooh, come on back over here. So, not much. We'll stick them over here in the boneyard in case we need them there. Alright, so there we go. Bag 1's done. I guess both bag 1s are done. That wasn't so bad. Let's go ahead and kick off bag 2. Why don't we? Alright, bag 2. Oh, we got two bag 2s as well. Looks like a bag of big pieces and a bag of little pieces. Get out of there. Alright. 2 big bags, a little bag. And it looks like we're just going to add some layers onto the top of here. And we're going to start with these 2 big sheets, and 2 of these, and 2 of those, and 2 of those, and 2 of those. Alright. Oh, and we need 2 gray angled pieces like that. And like, do you need 2 of them, right? Yep, I do need 2 of them. That. Alright. So we go there, and there, and there, and there, like that, that, and then we've got 2 big sheets that go on right behind, there, and there, like that. Where did the rest of these go? I think they're going to go in there. We go. Ooh, that's tricky. I should put those on before I put the pieces around it on, because getting that in there afterwards, yeah, is going to be a bit on the very small spaces for fingers. See if we can't get it in there. There we go. The top one's pretty easy. It's that bottom one. You can see it ends up being kind of hidden one side and the platform on the other. It makes it a little tricky to get it lined up and then push it in flush, but not the end of the world. Just have to be a little bit finesse with it. There we go. Oh, thought I had it. Thought I had it. There we go. And then put this one on top. Alright, and that's all the pieces we needed for step 18. 19, we need 2 more of these. And 2 of those. I assume that's the right ones. It's all the same size, yeah. And then 2 of you. Then we go like that. 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 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now, 2 of these. 2 of these. 4 of these. And 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. And we'll leave that gap in the middle. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, three, 4, and 2. And 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. You and you. We're going to need 2 of these as well because they go up again. There we go. Right, where do these guys go? Up top here. There. And there. Alright. So I think that was everything we needed on that step. Now we need new. For those. Two of those. For those. And two of you guys. What you doing? All right. One, two. One, two. One, two, three. We got two of these. One, two. We've got two of these. And we got two of these. So those are going inside there like that. One, two. All right, axles and things. Take one of you. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we put 2 of you on there. Load you through the front and the back. This whole thing goes on there. And then we take another. What do we need? We need you, and we need the black crank, like that. Then we need this weird one. Oh, got it backwards. That's going to go in there like that. Interesting. All right. Looks like we'll push that through even. All right. This is very interesting. I don't exactly know what it is that we're building, but it looks fun. And then this whole thing goes in the back. All right. With you fitting right down in the middle there. And you attaching there. Look at that. Ha! Got it right. All right. And so now, as it turns, I wonder if we can. Is it possible to zoom in on that? zoom in. There we go. So you can see in the back here that this turns like paddle wheels, that whole thing. So I'm not sure what's going to attach there, but maybe like it'll be like a rope that winds. I don't know. But that whole little thing that we just built, that's what it does. So zoom back up. This goes on the red piece? No, it slides. Oh, interesting. Maybe steering. I guess it could be if we put another one of these on there, it could be a pretty rudimentary steering. Yeah, because now we're going to link it to that center assembly with another one of these, which means that now as we turn it, here I'll zoom back in so everybody can see that. So now as we turn it, it's moving this from side to side, which I bet that if we attach to the steering, like that would be a good way to build the steering linkage. I don't know. We'll see. But it seems like a good idea to me. Alright. Got those. And then this whole thing goes over the top. Like that. Alright, so we just added a little bit more depth to our, what I'm really assuming has got to be some sort of steering mechanism. Maybe. Who knows? These guys. Yeah, see? Told you. I told you it would be maybe something to do with the steering. And now we're going to put some sort of pin down in the middle, because we're going to take these two that's what I missed. That. Get on there. There. Man, getting that lined up is a little bit trickier than I expected it to be. Get in there. There we go. All right. And then put those in there. And then this goes there and there. Yep. It's steering. Here, I'll show you. I guess it helps if I get my hand out of the way of the camera. So we've got this on here to make it stiff. We've got these on here to hold them in place. And now, when we move side to side, you can see that it's actually tied all the way down to the pieces on the bottom. Nifty little piece of build. I approve. All right. What do we got now? We've got you, and you, and you, and you. Where are you going? Ah. There. There. And that's it. And it looks like we've just got a couple little pieces left. Stick those over on the side. All right, what do we think? One more bag? Two more bags? All right, let's do one more. Oh, this is a little one. Maybe we'll do two more. You'll never know. I do think we get to put some stickers on this one, so I'm pretty disappointed my stand isn't here. I just love the idea that he's freaked out by stickers going on and going on sideways or going on wrong. bag. There's a bag. And there's a bag. Okay. 3, we start with you go in there, and 2 of you, you go there. 2 of you, 4 of you, oh, interesting. They don't go on all 4, they stack too high on each. And then they go like that. And there's another one over there. I thought there would be. Didn't make sense for that to not be symmetrical. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Hey, what's going on?
I'm just a happy guy today. What can I say?
No kidding. No kidding.
I always have like a hard time finding your stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess I don't like follow you or something on YouTube.
I don't care. It's funny. It's funny. Like it's because like nobody else on earth has their name misspelled as badly as I do. It's the first thing that comes up when I just type my name in. So it's like, okay, that'll be the easiest way to find me.
Here it is. What do we got today?
Oh, we've got the UCS Sandcrawler, which has actually been a lot more interesting than I thought it did. Like, there's this entire, what looks like a steering linkage that ended up getting built on the back here that feels like massive overkill for something that's going to be like 11 inches long, but still kind of cool.
Yep.
But yeah, it's kind of like Twitter opened on one side and instructions for the build open on the other. 1, 2,
Yeah, I
3.
was doing a little bit of trolling earlier on Facebook as well.
Oh,
Myself.
I hate Facebook so much.
Yeah,
Not to,
I yeah,
it's a, it's just amazing to me how much healthier our democracy would be if Facebook and Twitter just disappeared. Like, and I say that as someone who has obviously invested a fair amount of time into Twitter in particular, but if Twitter came out tomorrow and said, you know what, this really isn't helping anybody, we're gonna, yeah, we're gonna cash it out, and we're gonna turn all of the, the intellectual property over to somebody else, and we're good. I'd be 100% okay with that.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
100% okay.
My friends and I, when I was in, I don't know, in middle school and high school, we used to play the Star Wars collectible card game.
Oh, really? I haven't played that one.
That was a lot of fun, or at least we had a lot of fun with it. The other cool thing about it is that we got to learn kind of like all these characters and races and stuff that like they never really talk about in the movies,
Right.
just because they're cards and they have like little snippets about the characters on the cards. So that was really fun for us. And then we'd always spend like once a week we'd watch through the
Like all the crazy trivia that you hardly ever get to see normally, but because it's a collectible card game, it's all right there in front of you.
yeah, like I don't know that we would have necessarily known that Greedo was a Rhodian, for example, or the name of the Weequay race of the people who drive around Java's like skiffs or his servants. Java, I mean not Java. So just like random shit like that just never would have known.
Yeah, one of my ex-wife's cousins was kind of the master of all useless Star Wars trivia. And like to the point where it wasn't even fun playing like a Star Wars Trivial Pursuit or anything like that, because it was just like nobody knows all of this shit. Where are you getting this from?
There's always so much more there than you ever even think there is. Wasn't it? I think there was when Lucas still owned the name and the franchise and all that stuff. There was a person or an employee in Lucas whose job title I think was like something like Master of the Holocron, and his
That's so awesome.
like keep continuity correct between all the different Star Wars IPs, whether it's the video games, the movies, the books, everything else. So he was the one who like everything had to be submitted through him, so he could check and make sure that the continuity wasn't like obviously super broken anywhere. So that was always kind of fun little, I guess, tidbit because I mean it makes sense, but it
Um, so when Timothy Zahn was kind of given permission, or he was asked to write the first of the actual like Lucas approved Star Wars books, after the first three movies had come out, and kind of Star Wars was at a pretty low ebb from a fan standpoint. He wrote the books, and the books were super popular, and kind of everybody was happy with it. And then they did and if you haven't read them, the those first three books, the first three in the Thrawn trilogy, are just pretty spectacular, just fun reads, regardless kind of the rest of it. But for the 20th anniversary, he did a version that was annotated. So basically, it was just the regular story, but it had footnotes kind of going all the way through. And it was fascinating to see all of the stuff that he had to change because, like at that point, there were, after the first three movies, after the original trilogy, there was no concept of the dark side of the Force, or the, only two Sith can be alive at a time, or all the rest of that kind of came into being. And because he didn't have any of that, and because, I mean, at that point we still didn't know whether parsecs were time or distance, or, like there was just, if you think about it, after that third one, there was so much that was just kind of left unsettled. The kind of the backstory of him going back and forth with the storytellers, the kind of the keepers of the meta over at Skywalker were just fascinating. Like the things that he was allowed to do and the things that he was told, like, no, you're gonna have to trust us and hang off on that one. And then like the stuff that he totally made up, like Rogue Squadron, which was just a plot device that he put in there that ended up becoming kind of part of the canon. It was really fascinating from the point of view of somebody who was tasked with create the next three stories in this trilogy that's been put out there. But you're not part of Lucas and you don't really know what plans there are for what's coming next. You just need to blind write the story and we'll let you know if you step into places we don't want you to.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty fascinating. But there's that annotated version, like the entire back of the book is just footnotes with interviews with the author, with his agent, with the press people who were going back and forth with Lucas about, is this even something that we want to do? It's a pretty interesting read.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never got into those books, but I feel like it's always something that is kind of on the back burner for me, but I never actually go back and bite it off. So I guess that's
Well, and some of them suck. Like some of them, they are. It's like the Star Trek books where there were 100 next generation stories that were thrown in there, and some people just don't do a good job with the characters. They just don't do a good job with the voices or the dialogue or whatever. Timothy Zahn in particular is pretty spectacular. Like him, those ones, he did the original three, which at one point were rumored to be made into movies, that introduce a character that, like, at the end of it, you're like, yeah, I would absolutely go pay to see a movie if that guy was a character in the movie. Like he does a really good job. So he did those three, and then he did like a handful of follow-ups after that. That were all just, they were all just pretty, it was good writing. It happened to be a universe that I cared about was good too, but it didn't, if the writing was shit, none of the rest of that would have mattered.
right. Yeah.
I get pretty snobby about just the quality of the writing regardless. It's why like Anne Rice, I can't read at all. Because there's never been, like, she wrote the Vampire Lestat. Like, she wrote a whole bunch of like kind of well acclaimed vampire movies, and there's never been anyone as in dire need of an editor as that lady.
Really?
Oh, she's bad.
Yeah, I tend to lean a bit more just straight fantasy books myself as opposed to sci-fi, which maybe is why I never really bit off the Star Wars stuff, because it was always maybe just a bit more sci-fi than what I normally lean towards.
But those ones are quick reads, and they're not super long. They're only a couple hundred pages each. It's yeah, of all of them, that's the one that kind of with no reservation I'd recommend to anyone who hasn't gotten a chance to read them yet. That whole set of books is pretty. Like it's interesting, just as good stories, but it's also really cool in the context of the larger kind of fandom at that point, which was really kind of teetering on the edge with, once Return of the Jedi came out and then kind of drifted away, this idea of is there anybody who even cares about this franchise anymore was kind of the big question. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Where did these go? Oh, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I already used them. I will say the instructions on this one are not as clear as some of the newer UCS models. 2, 3, 4. Like they don't break out all the instructions the same way,
Yeah.
which is yeah. There's just like I mean even here, like they put the 10 in there, and then they show you all the rest of the pieces, but other than those 4 pieces in the middle, like there's no detail as to what you've put down or why you've put it there or anything like that. So you just kind of have to compare one picture with the other, which, I mean, that's not terrible, but it certainly means that there are times when you're kind of looking at it going, wait, what am I supposed to be doing here? But it's not so bad. So what do you got planned for the weekend? Anything fun? I mean,
Done around the house.
victory laps?
Free drinking. Yeah. Just hanging out. My wife is works the weekend these days, so weekends are kind of up to me to relax or get stuff done as I see fit, kind of. So.
Yeah, I started putting up the Christmas lights this weekend.
Oh, that's too early.
No, see, because here's the thing. Like, I have never really decorated for any vacation or for any holiday, and I've just decided, like, I hate Thanksgiving and Halloween. Like, I just hate them. And so I've decided to just skip right over both of them, and I'm just going straight to Christmas.
Yeah, my wife, Thanksgiving is her favorite holiday, so she can't, she really does not like it. Just skip Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the big challenge for me is Halloween or Thanksgiving is also that always the same week as my ex-wife's birthday, and so she has the kids every year for that week. So for that week, like Christmas I can get to see the kids, but Thanksgiving, like I never have the kids around, and it's one of those like, no, I'm fine just skipping this one. It doesn't seem like there's any redeeming qualities to Thanksgiving if the family that you want to have around is completely incapable of being around. And I mean, I've never decorated for Christmas. Like I've never kind of gone big with it. And so this year I told the kids, like since they'll be here for Christmas, like we're just going full crazy on the over the top on the Christmas side of things. Like I have to draw the line at inflatables in the front yard because I don't live in a trailer park, but with the lights and with the interior decorations and all that stuff, we're gonna go pretty big with it. So it should be fun.
That's fun. Yeah, my wife's birthday is also the week of Christmas, so she also has, not that she dislikes Christmas, but Christmas is slightly
That's fair.
less in her mind than it is for other people because
Right.
there's always kind of been that competition there of
Yeah.
birthday Christmas type thing.
Right. And I would imagine you just have to stomp your feet and tell your parents, don't you dare skimp out on Christmas presents because my birthday's that same week.
Yeah, yeah. One gives both, or your birthday is kind of rolled into Christmas celebration,
Right.
cakes and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of feelings there, I
I
guess.
bet.
But she also has like the family that did like classic Thanksgiving, 50+ people around the table,
Yeah.
together, everyone having a good time. So I think that's one of the reasons why Thanksgiving is really up there for her because it's just when you can do it like that, it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish,
I really experienced when I was younger.
yeah, and I wish because I mean, my family, because most of them all live in Northern Virginia anyway, was kind of the big Thanksgiving as well. It's just, with my parents and my in-laws, like for whatever reason, just never got along. Like literally from the engagement party on, kind of never got along, and it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, I mean, if we're not going to try to do Thanksgiving together, and I'm not interested in doing two different Thanksgivings to kind of manage everybody's feelings, then it ends up being something where I could do Thanksgiving with my parents without the kids. Like it didn't end up being any fun at all. And that was always her birthday. Like that was always the big thing, was we're gonna do birthdays as well. And so I just kind of said, nope, I'm Halloween and Thanksgiving. I will gladly pass those up in order to have an even more ridiculous Christmas. Why not?
Yeah, Thanksgiving, when I was growing up, I grew up with my mom in Illinois, and my dad was in New Jersey, so like I was always just having Thanksgiving with my mom, and my mom has four sisters who, any given day of the week or year, they were either like talking or not talking.
I know how that goes.
Yeah, so my Thanksgiving as a kid consisted of me and my mom, maybe one of her sisters, and therefore my cousins, and like my grandfather on my
Right.
mom's side. Sometimes do the like I'm doing 3 Thanksgivings a day, two or three daughters' houses because they can't just
Oh man.
Yeah, so I definitely did not have that classic, everyone's cheerful, sitting around the table. It was normally like me, my mom, my father, and maybe a couple other people. It was not to say that they were bad or they were.
Right. Always just a little bit of drama to make things fun, huh?
Yeah, it just wasn't that like. It just wasn't like the Leave It to Beaver
Yeah.
Thanksgiving that people think of when they think of that holiday.
Yeah. No. The Leave It to Beaver holidays were kind of never ever uh, something that existed when I was growing up. Like I think maybe the most normal thing that we did. Is there 2 fours? No, just 1 4. All right, this is the last I'm gonna do. We would we would sometimes come up to my grandparents' house. So we lived in Florida. My dad was in the Army, and we would travel up. We would drive up to Northern Virginia and stay with my grandparents. And they would have snow, and like that. Those would be kind of the most normal of the Christmases. But I mean, we never really got the Christmases when you get all the stuff kind of Christmases, because I mean, 6 kids and a dad on an enlisted salary. It wasn't exactly like there was a huge wad of dough waiting to be spent over Christmas vacation.
Yeah.
So it was like they were never bad Christmases, but it was always kind of let's go see what everybody's friends got for Christmas kind of thing.
I remember my grandfather on my dad's side, him and my grandmother on my dad's side immigrated from Cuba, and his job, like throughout all the years he was working, was he was a driver. He drove a truck for Cisco.
Right.
So one of the gifts I would always get from etc. were like boxes and boxes of cookies, sweets, like all this kind of stuff. So that was always really fun for me, and I know easy for them because I'm sure it was just like a box fell off the back of the truck, and they couldn't do anything with it. So he's like, I guess I'll send it to my grandson.
Yeah, my aunt worked at the post office, and so it was the same way. Like it was collectible stamps or kind of something from there, which I thought was awesome. Like which I didn't have any issues with at all. But it was always kind of it was always kind of cool to watch, what stuff showed up as those holidays got closer.
My buddy's dad worked for Capri Sun, and so
Oh,
they gave out Capri Suns every Halloween. So that was always kind of funny
yeah.
too.
I, of course, have gotten asked by 27, uh, 27 different people, including both of my kids, hey, do you get early access to the Xbox?
Oh,
I'm like, no. No, in fact, I get to stand in the same line you do, and I got to fail in the exact same way that you did.
yeah, it's like not even. I'm sure it's not even the most convincing department. Probably don't even know what department.
Well, and even outside of that, like unless you're actually beta testing the platform, like
Sure.
there's no like magical free early access. We had an internal pre-order uh, where like they put it up on the company store, but I mean it was just as limited as everywhere else, and they were sold out within 11 minutes and crashed the entire store internally the same way they did everywhere else.
Yeah, I have an Xbox One, I have a PS4, but I don't know. I feel partially that like I'm kind of done with consoles.
Yeah, yeah, and especially with Microsoft in particular saying that they're not really interested in making like console exclusives anymore, that the ecosystem is the ecosystem and they're going to make content and people can play it however they want to play it. Like, you look at it and you go, it's a pretty cool piece of gear, but if I don't need it to play games, and I have the option of playing them on the PC, which I'd probably much prefer to use anyway,
Yep.
I don't know.
And you have to have the PC, right? So you don't have to have an Xbox One. You don't have to spend the $600-700 for an Xbox
Yeah.
One. You're already going to have the PC that can play games.
Well, and like ironically, the PlayStation is different. Like, I want to play the new Spider-Man game, and the only place on the planet I can play it is on a PlayStation console.
Which sucks.
You know, and so it is ironic. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm going to get one of everything because I have significant issues. But if I had to pick one of them, I would probably pick the Sony console simply because I want to play the new God of War. I want to play the new, MLB 2021. I want to play the new Spider-Man game. Like, all of those are amazing games, and the only place that you're going to play them is on a Sony console.
Yeah, I also have the past, I don't know, 5, 10 years or so. I've really had issues I've noticed actually finishing games because when I was younger, I would obviously put a few hundred hours into a game, no problem. I'd
Right,
play like, maybe most recently the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the
right.
original one. I put a bunch of time into it, and then I had a lot of fun, but then I look at it and I'm like, man, I still have like another 50 plus hours to go before I beat the game. I don't know that I care enough. I feel like I kind of already got out of it what I wanted to get out of it, so it's
Yeah.
frustrating in some ways.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I usually sit right in the middle. Like, I will either buy a game and play it knowing that I'm just goofing off, knowing that this is just this is something to fill the time before the next God of War game comes out or the next Destiny release happens or whatever. And those might be AAA games. Those might be games off of Steam. Who knows what they are. There's kind of stuff all over the place that is kind of fun to play these days. And those games I'm fine just kind of dabbling in and not even worrying about what the completion level is.
Right.
But the vast majority of the time, like my brain doesn't know how to do accidentally leaving things unfinished. Like, it just
Definitely,
doesn't work for me.
definitely my problem. Because when I was younger, I played games to completion.
Yes.
I wanted to get everything
go into it deliberately saying, like, I have no plans of finishing this, because the ones that killed me um, were the Lego games and the Super Mario games, because there's so much little stuff that you can go back and collect, and like, even if you finish the game, you can get 100% of these things that you have to find, and like, those are the ones that would just fry my egg, because I was constantly like, well, there's more stuff for me to go get. I can't be done yet.
Like the Spider-Man game.
Yeah, the Spider-Man game, I love kind of the stuff that's all over the place, though. And it's not that I don't like having all of those things in, like, the Lego games, but like, those aren't. I don't know. Those feel like the Fisher Price of console games. Like, I don't. It's hard for me to be. It's hard for me to go into them thinking this is a game that I'm going to play for 200 hours.
Right.
But yeah, like I mean, I did 100% completion on the last Spider-Man game. I actually, um, and this is a little embarrassing, I actually replayed God of War a second time,
Okay.
because one of the things that you need to do 100% completion, you have to do in the temple before you go outside and up the hill to the end scene, and I missed it. So literally, one of the things that you do 4.5 minutes before the end of the game, I missed and was stuck on 99%, and actually went back and replayed the entire game.
Why not just like load up the previous savers?
Because it wouldn't let me. Like, once you complete it and you finish it, it like moves you on to whatever that next piece is. Yeah. Yeah, like, you can go back and you can do free discover on the world, but not that part, because it's only available during that end cutscene. And so it was basically just the worst thing ever. And I didn't even hesitate. Like, I sat there for a second and was like, okay, I guess I start over. Like, there is no other way to finish this. And
At least at that point, at least you should have like all the mechanics
yeah, and
a lot quicker.
right, and I have my notes for that, that I took along the way about where stuff was, so that I could go back and find it again. Like, I mean, it was, it's ridiculous. Like, I freely admit that there's some kind of pathology there, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But that one I went into fully expecting I'm going to play this game until I get to 100% completion.
I think the only game I really ever did 100% completion was Oblivion.
Yeah.
And I put so much time into that game. And 100% completed it. And then some of the big add-ons came out. And one of the big add-ons, there was a achievement where you kind of like in this add-on storyline, you could choose like this one guy or you could choose this other guy. And you can't go back, and if you choose one guy, you get an achievement. If you choose the other guy, you get a different achievement. And I was so mad because I wanted to continue my 100% streak, but
Yeah.
it just, obviously wouldn't let me. And I think I did end up going back and like loading past save and just choosing the other guy to get the other achievement. But
Yeah. Well, Destiny did that to me with Eververse, right? I mean, there was a point in Destiny 1 where I had, like, every piece of gear and every weapon, and like, I had literally everything. And then all of a sudden they started, I didn't even mind the time gated stuff, like things that you could only get for this point in time. But they started, they started doing things that you had to pay money for. And they're all just cosmetics. It's not like it impacts your ability to play the game at all. But it definitely impacted my ability to be like 100% complete with the game. And ironically, what it meant, at least for me, was I got far less invested in Destiny from a completionist standpoint. Like if they weren't going to let me do it, there was nothing I could do about it, and it just kind of released me from having to be as focused on it as I was, which I'm sure was not their goal, but it definitely kind of gave me early parole for the completionist time served.
Yeah, I really liked Destiny when it first came out, and then as I played it more and more, I realized I would not be able to play it as much as I wanted to,
Yeah,
and I kind of really fell out of love with it because I felt like that in order to keep up with people that like I wanted to play with, I needed to play it constantly to constantly be upping my level up and be able to do stuff with friends or whoever, and that was kind of a big turn off to me
yeah,
because
yeah, and
I get the grind. I'm happy to do the grind, but if I have to do
absolutely.
the grind every day, all day, just to keep up with friends, like that doesn't seem
Yeah, and I think they got that. Like I think they have tried to make that better, even if it's just making it so that people can skip entire DLCs, and then when the next one drops, be able to jump in and kind of be on the same light level as everyone else. Um, but even today, like the mechanic is set up to reward not just people who play together, people who play, a specific way, but absolutely people who just play a lot. And that gets, like I probably played the least amount of Destiny in the last 2 months that I have, I don't know, probably in the last 4 years, 5 years, which I'm okay with. I mean, there's obviously been plenty to do, and I will still take a couple days off, but next week, and go bonkers happy on the new DLC that's coming out for a little while, and it hasn't changed. It's still like I still love the feel of playing the game. I just don't feel like I have to. Like I don't feel like I have to invest as much time as I did before in order to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the one other thing that kind of bothered me about Destiny was the differences between how people build their characters. There just wasn't that much there.
Yeah, that's true. And it never really changed, right? Like we got one additional class, or I guess they reworked one class in each character type when the new version came out. And even now with the one that's releasing next week, I think we get not just one new inside the Arc Void and Solar construct, but they're giving us an entire fourth construct. So, I mean, percentage-wise, it certainly does increase the types of builds that you can make, but it does feel like because they've refused to ever balance PvP and PvE separately, that you kind of like you get a more or less vanilla experience across both of them. Because if they gave you huge different customizations, but then you're all playing in the same sandbox and everybody ends up with with the same archetype because that's what the meta demands, like it just doesn't work that way either. I did a little while. I know that Dave, Coldshot, and Damien were playing that for a little while we were on one of our Destiny breaks, and that one to me kind of took it too far the other direction. Like, there was so much customization that you could do, especially by the time we got into it. I mean, there was so much content that had already been delivered for it that you could spend spend the entire time just working on your loadout and on your build. And like that wasn't, like, I like being able to have different varied gameplay types. Like I like having melee builds, I like having ranged builds. But having to go through and, choose from, 20,000 different combinations of Warframe build, like it quickly just got to the point where I was like, I don't really want to do this.
Sure. Yeah, that's always a game. I've played Warframe a lot over the years, and it's a game that I like will play for several months, and then I'll drop for like 6 months, and then I'll
Yeah.
play for several months. And it's always kind of nice because even no matter how much I've missed,
Right. You've always got a place to jump in.
I always got a place to jump in, and I can always play with anyone. I can play with someone who just started last week. I can
Yeah.
play with someone who is constantly never stopped playing, and I never feel like I'm punished for that. So that's always something that's been kind of nice for me with Warframe, and I do kind of like the grind sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and Warframe, Warframe is at least unapologetically like, here's how the grind is going to work. Like the grind isn't something that you do in order to play the game. The grind is the game, and I respect that. Whereas in Destiny, I mean, even now, when you want to jump in and play something and are immediately told that you haven't unlocked the right stuff, or you haven't gotten the right weapons, or you don't have the right mods in order to be able to be effective, so like you're kind of passively locked out of things that you want to do. It's like, well, this doesn't feel good.
Right.
This isn't how this is supposed to work. All right, where's this piece going? Well, and I want to be able to play the game and be successful to some level with the build out that feels good to me. I don't want to have to use that one specific weapon for that one encounter simply because the meta dictates that that's the absolute fastest way to get through it. And I think that goes back to the difference between playing with friends and playing with randos who, like, all they're there for is to get it done and to get through it. And it's like, I want to have fun with my friends, and that's really hard to do when everything is a kind of a tacit speed run, because everybody, like, there's a whole bunch of triumphs for just raid completion. You don't have to do anything special. You just have to finish them. And I mean, it's kind of the let's clear out the deck before the next version comes, and they're sunsetting a lot of the planets. Like 3 of the planets are going away, and all the rest of this stuff. But I don't even want to go. Like, I don't even want to go LFG to find a raid group. Like, I don't even want to go do the most fun content in the game, because trying to do that with randos, like, you get done and you're not excited. You're just relieved that it's finished. And shit, I've got better things to do with my time than that.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I'm still going to be excited for New Light, which comes out next week, and I'll still jump in. Is that going there? Yeah, I'll still jump in and do a full on binge for a couple days and get excited about all of the new places and new stories. And I mean, I still like the game. I just can't do the gigantic investment that I used to. And part of that's the game's fault, and then part of that's just, life is different kind of thing.
Have you ever played a game called Transistor?
Transistor. I don't think so. Is it good?
It is, yeah. It's like honestly one of my favorite games. It's a short game. It's like 10 or 12 hours. It's by kind of this indie game company that every game they've come out with, and it's only been like 4. I've like really enjoyed them. I'm a big fan of them. They're called
it's funny. I've been playing Among Us and Minecraft with the kids, and both of them. I mean, they're like. I mean, obviously, there's a fair amount of investment in Minecraft, but they're both kind of pretty simplistic user interfaces, pretty simplistic premises, um, but wildly complex when you throw kind of other human beings into the mix. And like you've never seen anybody more excited than when my daughter gets to be the imposter because she is ruthless. Like we're going to bed last night, and she had just gotten done being the imposter and was kind of all still hyped up about the whole thing because she won the game and the whole deal. And she looks at me and she says, "Dad, as long as I didn't know anybody, I'm pretty sure that I could kill someone and get away with it." And I was like, I don't think that's what you're supposed to take away from that game at all. I'm not, I'm not sure I approve of the lessons that you're learning here. And, and I've created a monster. All right. Well, that's 4 bags done out of the 16. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream there. But this actually turned out like I'm pretty stoked about. I'm pretty stoked about how this looks so far. Yeah, here, I will show you even cooler. Watch this. Watch. It'll get fun. Streaming, new tech. Mute it. All right. How about... All right. So here is that throttle linkage or steering linkage that I was talking about in the back, which was actually kind of neat to put together. And then on the front, you can kind of tell where the doors are going to go, and you can start to see the hinges that are put on the side to side, which I think will be those kind of angled doors, and then the ramp that drops down from there. You can kind of see where it started to put the structure in place for that. And then I'm guessing that these are all just going to be like places that workbenches or like little parts of the diorama fit together. And in fact, we need to slide those two in. There we go. So yeah, it's bigger than I expected it to be, I think. I don't know. Yeah, and it's super dense. Like I mean that's 5 bags with 3 of the bags having kind of 2 sets in it. Like that's only 5 bags into a 16 bag build, and we've gotten like literally an inch of base put in. So pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of fun. It's the first of the non-space vehicle ones, like the first of the ground vehicles that I've built. So I'm interested to see how it goes.
Do they have one for like Jabba's bars? I feel like that would be cool.
Yeah, we talked about kind of the being a completionist before. I've had to kind of draw limits around how wide I can go with buying things, and I've tried to stick with the UCS, like the Ultimate Collector Series stuff, and so there's a kind of a finite limit of those. They tend to get a little more expensive after they've been discontinued, but there's not millions of them. So I have a bunch of old, like the little kind of, I don't know what you call them, casual Legos, or these are more like display kits, like they're meant to be built and then not necessarily played with. Like the Millennium Falcon, you're not going to have a 12-year-old running around playing Star Wars, like with the 25-pound Millennium Falcon. But I've got a bunch of them that are play kits, and there's Jabba's throne room and the sail barge and like whatever the little ship was that the Sarlacc pit skiff that goes around. Like there's a bunch of those little ones, but they generally tend to be pretty small, and they're not as cool from a displaying them standpoint. And since I've got all of the kind of display cases back behind me to have everything in it, I figured we'd just stick to the UCS stuff.
I'm sure the play kits are not as dense either. They don't have nearly as many.
Yeah, I mean they're very much designed to be play sets where I mean you can run around with them and you can do space battles with them, and then you break them down into pieces and use them to build other stuff. I get the sense that with the UCS, these are much more designed to be kind of built and then left built. And it's not that you can't interact with them, but I mean they feel like they're for a much older crowd. So I've tried to just stay with the UCS, and they did a Mos Eisley Cantina UCS that's kind of a great big version of the Mos Eisley Cantina, but I don't think they've done like the sail barge or like a whole Sarlacc pit set with the sail barge and the skiff and the Sarlacc pit. I think would be unreasonably awesome, but I haven't seen anything like that yet. All right, man. I'm gonna sign off. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, man.
Go troll Facebook some more for me.
I will.
All right, later, man. All right, everybody. There we go. We got 4 bags done. We'll start on bag 5. I guess we'll do. What do you want to do? Tuesday, Thursday. So I guess we'll do. Maybe Tuesday, Thursday, because we've got Destiny next week too. Well, either way, we'll be streaming Tuesday and Thursday. Whether we're doing Legos or whether we're doing Destiny or whether we're doing something else, we'll see what happens. But thanks for sticking around, and I will catch you guys on the next stream.